I'm the most white bread vanilla man on the planet, so obviously I don't have any tattoos yet. I mean, look at this. This is the face of a country club golf pro or the branch manager at your local bank, you know what I mean? But if I were to get one and it had to have a bookish quality to it, what tattoo would I get? Well, I'm gonna break this down into the possibilities that I might have and then actually decide whether or not I'd want those. So first off, I could get a tattoo that has symbols. It could be something as generic as an image of an open book or a stack of books, or something more specific like the Deathly Hallows symbol from the Harry Potter series, or a dire wolf silhouette from Game of Thrones, something like that. Now, the generic thing doesn't really appeal to me. I'd want something more meaningful if I were to actually get a tattoo, so it would need to be from a specific book that I really like, hopefully love. Or I guess I could get an image of a character that really speaks to me from one of those books. Now, two characters that randomly popped into my head when I started thinking about this were Darrow from Red Rising and Haviland Tuff, who's the main character in George R.R. Martin's Tough Voyaging. Those of you may not be quite as familiar with that one. They're completely different characters is kind of the interesting thing, but for whatever reason, they're the first two that I thought of. And while I love both of them, I don't really want to get a tattoo of a fictional character on me. I mean, what if I reread one of those books with them in it pretty soon and decide that the character or the book itself just really isn't as great as I remember initially thinking? And that feeds into my next conundrum. Would I get something related to a recent read or an all-time favorite? And if I'm doing anything specific, it's gotta be from one of my all-time favorites, right? Because who knows if I'll remember much from these recent reads in a year or 10 years down the line. And another option is a quote. Now, it would probably need to be something short and sweet because I'm not gonna take up too much real estate on my body. I'm not gonna get an entire chapter of a book in size 3 font on my entire back. But then I need to decide if it would be a quote from a book or maybe it could be a quote about reading itself. And I was scrolling through some of my 5-star books that I have on Goodreads and looking at each one of them, I really couldn't think of any meaningful quotes from them, or almost really any quotes at all. I just don't think I have a good memory for that kind of thing. So that's probably out because I'm not going to force myself into getting a quote randomly that I just found and thought, oh yeah, that's kind of neat, while researching books or books that I like. That's really not my style. So the same would go for a quote about books in general. It's just not for me. Something I could possibly see myself getting is a literary combo of several things. And what I mean by that is a tattoo of, you know, several books, like their spines, maybe facing outward, or maybe a shelf of stacked books with a handful of my favorite titles written on them, or maybe a flowing mix of book covers that I really like, that have really stood out to me over the years. Something like that I could probably be down with. So the last question really is, where would I get that tattoo? And before I even really figure that out, I need to decide if I want to hide the tattoo or flaunt the tattoo. I mean, it sounds like I'm going for an inconspicuous vibe overall, so more than likely I'm going to want to hide it somewhere, maybe on like my ankle or bicep or upper back. Somewhere that can be hidden by clothes, probably. And maybe I'm just too indecisive about what I want, or I fear the permanency of the decision, which I might regret in 10 years, or even sooner than that. After all, my favorite book from 10 years ago probably isn't my favorite book today. If I'm making my final decision, I guess if I'm gonna get a tattoo, it would be the size would definitely be small, that'd be pretty tiny. The location would be somewhere out of sight, like I mentioned, back, bicep, ankle, something like that, that can maybe be hidden by clothes. And exactly what I'm going to get, it would probably be a super short quote, if I could think of one or find one that's really meaningful to me for whatever reason. It could be a small symbol from a book, or it could be a bookshelf image I talked about, where maybe there are a couple different titles that I can put together. There you have it, the bookish tattoo I'd get if I had to get one. Let me know in the comments if you have a book tattoo, or I guess any tattoo in general, and you know what the process was like, how you decided on what you wanted. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Happy reading.